What's going on, guys? It is Tony and Cesare from Paintball.com. And this is why you should not leave air in your compressed air tank.
And why? Why shouldn't I leave compressed air in my air tank?
Well, you're about to find out, but don't forget you shop the best.
Yeah, you've got to shop the best source in paintball, though.
So recently there was a video put out there. Well, I don't know if it was recent or not, but I saw that there was a video done that said you should leave air in your compressed air tank because it's good for the regulator and it's good for the seals.
It's actually not. I mean, I've been talking about this for years. You never want to leave anything under pressurized. The longevity of the O-rings, it does not allow it to last long.
So, and the reg seats, the reg seals on the inside.
Everything that's in the actual regulator. Spring pack as well.
That 100%.
The spring packs are tough, but what you're doing is that you're actually putting too much pressure on, let's take apart this Powerhouse reg.
So while he does this is not just coming from him. I've contacted 2 other professional people that have been in the industry for a very long time. First off, we're going to start Carl from Powerhouse. We had a nice conversation with him trying to figure out what I thought was you shouldn't leave the air in there because you're putting undue pressure, more pressure on what he said, the spring pack, on the seat, or whether it be the jet that's inside of the Powerhouse reg. Either way, that's staying under pressure, even if it is not cycling. It's not good for the O-rings. It's going to cause extrusion eventually, and that means the O-ring is going to fail. So without further ado.
And that's just basically what's happening is, remember, we've got 4,500 PSI in these bottles. And the regulator, your output pressure could be 450 PSI, 550 PSI. Whatever you set your regs at, any of them. I mean, you've got your Ninjas, your HKs, your Powerhouses.
What about your standards, though?
Your standards are 850.
800 to 850.
Correct.
So that's a lot of pressure that is being put also into the inline regulator of your marker. And that's a whole nother video. Stay tuned for that one.
Correct. So what's happening is now you've got all the separate parts, the spring pack, your piston.
And there's a couple O-rings on that piston.
Right here. So basically you've got these pistons on this side of it is trying to regulate from 4,500, and then this in here is going to drop it down to your set pressure, which is going to be 450 on up to 850 PSI. But these O-rings in here are always going to be under pressure. What's happening is the air pressure is pushing them this way. So this O-ring always wants to get pushed that way when it's under pressure. So if you relieve the pressure, when you take the air out of your tank, it goes back to neutral. So this way you're not having it to force this way. This O-ring at the top here is going to be pushing this way as well. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have no pressure behind any of these O-rings whatsoever. And then on your actual pin, you have pressure going up against the actual O-ring that's inside here sealing it outward. So
that would be screwing into the marker.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if you're always having force of this pin on that O-ring, eventually you're going to wear the inside of this O-ring, and that's where you get leaking coming out of the top. A lot of times people will smack it, just get any dirt, debris out of it.
Correct.
And that's because it comes from the bottle itself. You're getting debris out of that. So I do not recommend leaving any tanks under pressure at all. If you want to degas it after you're done at a tournament or you're done playing, degas it. I mean, it's real easy.
Well, a lot of people think, I'm going to leave 1,000 or 2,000 PSI there. I'm going to go in my backyard and shoot it. That's completely fine, but I wouldn't leave it for weeks on end completely aired up. Like Cesar was saying, I mean, it's more wear and tear. Carl from Powerhouse has told us, the spring packs, they're meant for millions of cycles, but constantly under pressure, that is going to decrease the longevity of the lifestyle because it's literally it's under pressure all the time. It's just like you're riding down the road in your car. Are you going to constantly want to be on your brakes? No, your brakes are going to wear down. So why would you want your tank to always be under pressure, O-rings under pressure, reg seats, or the jets under pressure? It's not good for it. So if you guys don't need to go in your backyard and shoot or whatever, degas it, shoot all the air out at the end of the day, relieve the pressure on the inside of that regulator, and it's going to be overall, better longevity for the O-rings, so you have to rebuild your regulator less.
Also, you have this main O-ring that seals the bottle and the reg. You want to eliminate the pressure off of that as well.
Because that could go bad as well.
Correct.
You were speaking about, I said earlier, like the extrusion of the O-rings. If it's under pressure, these O-rings on this piston are eventually going to kind of bulge out. You're going to get a bulge on there. And the longer that happens, you're going to be A, leaking, and B, that O-ring is never going to go back to its original form. So you're going to have to take it apart and replace it.
Like Tony just said, sorry. What happens is they create a pinch they create a pinch right here, and that's where you get the little cuts in the O-rings. Anytime you disassemble it, for some reason you see like there's a little cut off it, because what's happening is that O-ring is trying to push through 2 pieces of metal, and that's where you get that cut. And that's why when you take it off, wow, how did that happen? It's because it's trying to get forced out of the O-ring groove and into the next forward position in the metal.
100%.
And that's why you're always missing. That's why you're always looking at it. Why is there a little nick there? That's what happens to them, is they're under pressure. So don't leave your actual regulators aired up, because God
for a long
forbid,
period of time, for sure.
God forbid your O-rings or your tank spikes and there's no regulator pressure, and it's, you know, it's going to be 1,000 psi or 4,500 psi coming out of the gun as fast as possible. I don't think it's going to be 4,500 psi because they've got some small holes in there, but
yeah,
it still spikes up.
Still going to come out hot and heavy. So moral of this story here is today, if you guys have a tank, obviously, and it's got a lot of air left in it, or maybe even just a little bit, probably bleed it, drain it, because it's going to save you from having to do multiple rebuilds, which, you know, is unnecessary if it, you know, doesn't have to be that way. So yes, no, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't
I mean, I've done it for years. I've told people for years, and I've been doing this since '88. And I've told everybody, never leave your tank under pressure or your gun. That'll be a different video.
Maybe the guy that said to leave the air in is got stock in O-rings, and he's trying to convince everybody so that he has to sell more O-rings and makes all the billions of dollars.
Potentially. So at the end of the day, you know what? We sell regs here at Lone Wolf Paintball. So if you left it under pressure and you need a new one, you can shop the best.
LoneWolfPaintball.com.